16, I see 16 screens on mine, and there are 16 participants who have signed in. So there's still one that says, who is this? We don't know what your name is. So please go into the chat and add your name down to the bottom. Okay, she's got who is this? Good, thank you. Could you put your real name?
Yeah, well, is it in the chat? I can add it.
She's got it in the chat. Maybe it's a he. I said she. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Nothing like having a thrilling start to a meeting. This is going to be a great one. First of all, Marie, would you like to give a quick announcement with your Sons of Norway thing?
Oh, okay, sure. I think, well, thank you, Linda, for distributing the flyer about our September meeting at Sons of Norway. But we were just so excited to get Kenneth Quinn to talk about his friend Norman Borlaug, who, I mean, they're both amazing people. And I thought, any especially an Norwegian American Iowan, should be wanting to know more about Norman Borlaug, who's, I think, well, he's the only Iowa-born Nobel Peace Prize winner. And he's just got a list of credits to his name so long that, it never ends. So we decided that because we felt that our topic in September was so important and something of such wide interest that we would just open up our meeting to people that are not members of Sons of Norway. And so again, the way we did in May, we asked people to please RSVP so we know how much food to fix, but and also to give us our names so I can make name tags for everyone who comes. But you're all welcome to join us on September 16th at 7 o'clock at St. John's Lutheran Church. And I think you should all have some information in the flyer that Linda forwarded to you. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. And anyway, that's all the time I'm going to take, I think, so we can get going with the meeting. But thanks again, Linda, for spreading the news.
Okay. As you know, we've been working on this series about location, and then we started working on Iris's handwritten pedigree chart that was done in 1994. Now, if you think back, 94, there just wasn't much of an internet at that point, much less on anything on Norwegian research, and certainly nothing online for looking at records or whatever. And so I can remember about that same time I looked at my Norwegian records and I was looking for Lena Aughurst, and there was nobody on the few records that I saw that had Lena, much less Aughurst. And I just packed up my Norwegians and stuffed them away. I tried again about, maybe about 2000, dug them out, and I still couldn't find any information. So they got packed up and buried in the stack again. And finally, about 2003, I went down to the IGS and I said, I need help. Maybe we can get a group together that we can help each other. And this is the result. And so many things have happened, and we've gone through, Bill, 3 versions of Digital Archivet, and we would just get to know it, and then they would change it. And then we'd have to learn all over, and they changed it again, and then we'd learn all over. And it's getting better, and it's getting to be actually kind of fun once you get the basics. And that's kind of what we're getting started into this series again now, and that is locations. So the very first handout that was on your list was a family group sheet of Hans Tollefsen, Ulesager. And I very carefully went through that handwritten pedigree chart, and this was the information that I could find. That there were some spots where I could not read the penmanship. It wasn't, the whole thing wasn't on there. My penmanship was a lot worse than Iris's, so it wasn't that bad. But this is a family group sheet of Hans and his wife Agneta and their son Martin. That was what we were concentrating on. We analyzed the record last time, this type of thing. And then I gave you a challenge to, what would be your priorities? Where would you start? And I have to say, I really appreciate the work that Martha Schmidt has done and Gwenna Jacobson. They dived in very deeply and doing some research on this family. I have done some more, but we all got to the same end, but we used different approaches as to where we started with our record searching and getting to the end of it. So I'm going to start out with Martha. She was the first one that had sent me some information that was shortly right after the meeting. About 4 days later, she had already done a bunch of work. And I'm going to turn it over to Martha. So you don't have, do you want pictures, Martha? Do you want me to screen share to show any of the images, or you want to just talk? You got to unmute. Can't hear you yet.
Let's try
Martha,
there.
there
I
you
just
go.
have to find the right spot.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I find research a lot of fun. I worked on it for a bit. And because I'm a county researcher, I do a lot of work for our Humboldt County Genie group. I turn immediately to Ancestry and Family Search. Those are the two big sites that I use. And I like to track people through the census. And then I do fill out a family group sheet, and I'm trying to follow Linda's lead and do a better job of note keeping than what I have done in the past. Anyway, and I'm sorry, it's been long enough ago. I can't remember an awful lot of what I did. Maybe you haven't discovered that I have, that age robs your memory just a bit. So I'm sorry, and I've been too busy the last 2 days to really review my notes. I do a lot of volunteer work at our local museum, so I'm very busy out there. But anyway, there were just two notes that I would like to share with you in case you have never discovered this, and maybe you have already. I was looking for the burial record for Hans and Agneta, and I determined that St. Ansgar was the correct church. You check to make sure that they've got records from that time period. And so I did the name search, but with a family that has 3 different last names, what do? And they didn't come up. So I have learned that you pull up whatever record you want to look at, you find out what pages that is on the microfilm, and then you just literally go through the book page by page. And that's how I found the notation of Hans Tollefson's burial record and his wife Agneta Hansdotter. And it was almost like they were written in the book later. It was way at the top of a page. And then again, doing census work, I have learned that you can do a first name search on census and it can be successful. So I tried the family in Illinois, and I'm sorry now I can't remember which county, but I tried each of the children, I think, and I think I found 2 daughters. They were Hansons. They were living in Rockford at that time, and they were living with other families. So I assume they were old enough that they were boarding with somebody else and working for them. And then they did find Hans and Agneta, well, Hans at least, in the 1855 Illinois state census. And I think the last name was Tollefson or some spelling of it. And the only thing with the 1855 is they give you the males of a certain age range. So you're doing a little bit of guessing as to who was in the family. And then I got stuck finding some of the siblings. I do like to find all the siblings, and I got stuck. So I hate to say I set it down. Anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to share. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you ever used the GenWeb project as a possible source of information. Each state has a GenWeb project, each county has one, and if you're lucky, there's an active coordinator for that county, and they will put records online. And sometimes there will be people there who will say, I will look up information in this particular source, and they'll look for you for nothing. I love those free people. So I do check that. You never know when you might strike it rich on a GenWeb county site. So that's what I do.
Okay, so you work mainly with the census to lead you to finding the records.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Gwenna really dug in and did a marvelous job. And on top of it all, she came up with a marvelous PowerPoint. So, Rex, if you can give her the screen so that she can share. And she really took off with a lot of information here. By the way, I do have
She
a
should be able to
copy
share.
of all of these documents. I think, well, not, I've got Gwenna's PowerPoint, and I figured you really didn't need to download all of you to get the copies of all these documents, but a lot of them are going to show up here in Gwenna's PowerPoint. It's all yours, Gwenna.
And to start the, can't remember. Show. Isn't that supposed to start it?
From beginning.
It should give it a little drop down menu. If you click on that, it should say, yeah.
No, go over
There,
to
there again.
go over
Slides.
to the left side and it says from beginning. And that'll start the
Your very first icon there. Yeah.
Okay, this is just the page.
What did you start with? Why did you, what jumped out at you that got you going in the first place?
Okay, well, I'm like Martha, that I always use Ancestry, and I use Family Search and Google. And, you know, I'll show you a few of them that I found besides those three. I mean, Google, you know, checks all of them. And then I also checked this pedigree chart you gave us. So this is where I started. Then I usually go to family trees that I find, because even though I know there's a lot of inaccuracies on the family trees, they still give you so much information. Somebody's researched it. And so I usually look at the family trees. So that's what I did next. And then when I have somebody that's immigrated, I always like to look at their immigration records. So I take the census records, and I know which census record, you know, which census records to give you the date, the immigration information. This 1900, 1910, 1920, 1932, well, not 32, but 30, I think. So I check those for immigration date, and I check the census, and so I use that information. So I can just go ahead and
Go ahead and do your thing.
start. Yeah. So these first three was well, the first one was online family trees. And the next three I used to get to the ship passenger list. I got a couple of census records, and then I got to the ship passenger list. And then for some reason I found the marriage record on Family Search for Hans Tollefson and his wife Agneta. So that meant that there was records on Family Search. So that's what I found all the rest of the records from, until, you know, it was for their births, and then the 1801 census. And then there were some records I couldn't find on there. The older they got, the less, you know, less they're available. So then I did browse Digital Archivet, and I found about 3 records there. I found the birth of Agneta and the confirmation of both Agneta and Hans. And then I always like to look at things on the map. So I don't know how I found MapCarta, because I don't really use MapCarta, but it's probably Google. And I found interesting photos and maps. And then just to close it down, I did the death records of both Hans and Agneta, because I didn't really concentrate on Martin or the siblings, but I wanted to know their names so that I could get to the ship passenger list. And then I just found some other odds and ends. One of them was a marriage record that was in was an American church book. It was from Minnesota. And, I just thought it was interesting because it was written in a church book and it was in Norwegian. And then there was a few others that I found that I'll go through. And then the very end, I thought, oh, I remember learning in this class that you could look at community trees, and they were kind of copies of Big Books, because next thing would be to go to Big Books. I don't have access to Big Books, so I said, oh, the next best thing is this community trees on Family Search. So this is the first 4 things. The pedigree. Oh, this is the first 3 family trees in the pedigree charts, what I used for finding information on everybody. And here's what the family tree for Hans Tollefson. I noticed his name is Amistad. That is actually on the pedigree chart. That he has different names, and one of them was Amistad. And so this gives me the names of all the children, all the siblings. And I think it follows a couple of them. I think it follows Anders and Martin. I don't know if it follows Gunhild, but the 3 younger children maybe. And I don't know. I didn't find anything on the older children. I wasn't looking too hard, but I didn't find anything on them. And so then I found from Google, I found this Genie, this family tree, and this lists Hans with his siblings. So this is one up from the one we just saw, and it follows the descendants of a lot of these siblings. So that's a good place to go. I don't belong to Genie, so I couldn't look at all of it, but yeah, I saw the family tree, and of course it spread out. It was like, so many children. It was really wide, probably a yard wide, and I couldn't read them all. But you could follow each one individually. That would be fine. Then I always like to, like I said, find the immigration records. So I looked at these 2 census, and then the chip had enough information. So Andrew Hansen, this is the first record that I found for them in the United States. And it was not that easy to find because he changed his name, right? Hansen's a common name. He changed, and Andrew changed his name from Andreas, but he's still in Worth County. And I don't know, Northwood or Deer Creek, sometimes called Deer Creek. And he's living there with his wife, his father, Martin, and this would be the younger one, Gunhild. And then some person I don't know. But you might want
Deer Creek is the name of the creek, but it's also the name of the church they would have belonged to.
Yeah, one time it was the name of the county too, or the township too.
Township.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was their farm was in Deer Creek Township,
Okay, good.
Worth County, Deer Creek Township.
So this is what the record looks like. And you see Andrew's at the top, then Julia, his wife, and then Hans Tollefson, and then the 2 children that are under on Andrew. And it says Northwood here. And this is Martin Hansen. Martin Hansen still lived in Worth County, but I don't think Andrew did. So this is the 1900 census. And I choose this one because it always has when they immigrated, the year that they immigrated. It doesn't show up here, I don't think, but it'll show up in the next record. But you see here it's Barton and Deer Creek Township. So they just changed the name maybe. So I've circled it here so you can see where it is, and I've also circled, see the date of immigration was 1846, and you can see it's 1846. And here is Martin with his 2 children. So then I look for the...
Would you back up the screen, please? Can you do that?
Is there a question?
Okay, I didn't catch what you were looking at there. I was jotting a note down. I had a thought. Okay.
Oh, I was just looking for the immigration date, but there's other information there. There's our birth dates and things like that there that are worth looking at. Oh, he's naturalized too, I guess, so that's worth looking at. So this is where I look for the search record, and I also look for it on Ancestry. Ancestry sometimes lays out a little bit nicer, but this is, and it says 1847, so 1846 was really close. He's estimated to be born in 1799, and I try to copy down all the records so that you can find them. This is a big shot of the whole immigration record, and they're down here somewhere. But you should look at it. When you look at it, you should look at the header, the manifest, and then also where the people are. So yeah, I guess that's what this says. You have to look at the manifest. This tells you the name of the ship was Tricolor, and it came from Christiana, Norway. And this was a Norwegian ship, brig ship. And it tells you a few other things, the date and captain and things. But also
This is the date that the ship pulled into Norway or into New York.
Right. I don't know if it has the date on here. 30th
Yes,
of July.
30 July.
Yeah. And so Hans Tollefson, Agneta, Ingeborg is next, Tollef, Merritt, Helena, Andreas, Andrew, Martin, and Gunilla. So, but here you can see the columns: names, age, sex, occupation. Occupation would be this column, which I don't know, it's probably marked farmer for everybody, Norway for everybody, United States for everybody. And I just printed it out bigger because I found out just by accident that if you go off the page and back on the page, if you have closed down the side view, the side window, like was shown in the last one, and you go back a page and back a page, it'll have all these names here. So then I just moved it around so I could get all the names with the record. So I thought that was kind of neat. But just found it by accident. You move off, you move back on, there it is. Okay, then I found them in the church books. I found the marriage record right on Family Search. So I started off with the record, and then I found the children's baptisms and the 1801 census. And then since I knew his father's name, I kind of looked for that, more records with his father, Tolef Holsen, and found that. That's where he died. I didn't do much more looking on any of his family members' records, but I did do that one. So this is Hans Tollef marriage record. And I found out there's two of every record because like we know, there's two books. There's the one book at the church, the original, and the copy, which is the one at the clerical church, or the clerical, I can't remember what it's called, the Prestigel church. So, but I'm not going to show you two of everyone. I think I'll show you two of the first one. And the only difference is right here, the years on the thing. Some go to 1830 and some go to 1833. And then the second set starts at 1833 and 1830. So it has Amistad, it has Smedrud, it has their ages. 1800 is when he was born, 1804 when she was born. The marriage date was in 1825. Okay, now here's the tricky part. Can I find it again? And it's number 22. So this is it right down here. Hans Tollefson from Amistad. And he's 25 years old. And Pigga, I think this is Pigga, Agneta, Hans' daughter, Smedruds. She's 21 years old. And I'm not sure what those are, but it occurred on the 13th of May, I guess, is the date.
I believe this is a copy from the main ministerial book.
Okay.
And that's where I got the information. I went to that church and got that information off the books.
Do you have the copy of the Clocker book? In your presentation?
So is a Clocker book the copy?
Clocker
No,
book
that's
is
the
done by, the Clocker book is done by the sexton or the local,
That's
like
the
the head of the
local book.
council type of thing, the local person,
Okay, and what's the other book called?
the ministerial book.
Okay. Well, I didn't know which was which.
What's your next, do you have the Clocker
Yeah, I have the
image?
next one too.
Okay,
So this is the next one. It's the same information, but it's the different year, 1814 to 1833. That's the only way I can tell the difference here, probably.
Hmm.
And then here's the record. And it's still record 22, but it's a, a slightly different spot. Hans Tolef, I don't know.
that's
Oh.
the Amostad.
Well, almost dead here, and then I don't know what, I don't know if it has 25 years. I don't know, there's another word there, I think. But,
Husman, Husmd.
oh, so that's his occupation, maybe, or the
Yeah.
husband.
And the first word is Unkarl, abbreviation for a bachelor.
Okay, and Pega, I know, because that's the same in Swedish. So Agneta Hansdotter Smedsrud, 21 years old. Here's people that were the witnesses, I guess. This is the date, and I don't know what that one is.
It's the maid of honor and the best man for Loverne. So
Oh,
Kari, Gordon and Ole, whatever. But yeah, that's what for Lover that.
Oh.
For Lover is the best man and the maid of honor.
Hmm.
And then
So
they don't
that's-
have a bunch of other grown women. It's usually just little flower girls in addition to that. So there's just two adults that stand up with the bride and groom in Norway.
yeah.
And
Oh,
in
I
that
see.
last column is the Amat Kirka.
Oh, yeah.
They
This
were
is the
married
church.
in that
I know that. That
particular
says
church.
church. I'm
Yeah,
at
whether
church.
it's at home or at church. Yeah,
Okay.
that's interesting.
Okay, so then, oh, I should go back one. Okay, along the side here is all these Hans Tolofs. And so I said, I don't know what those are. So I started clicking on them, and they're things that tie to Hans and Agneta. They're the children. So that's
Oh,
how I
okay.
started finding the children from Family Search, which was kind of,
Okay.
yeah. So here's Tolov. He's the first child. And, he has his birth date up here, his baptism date, and Helgason, I assume, is Ulensager. I think they just spelled it or read it wrong when they transcribed it.
You'll find that there are a lot of errors in these, in the spelling, trying to read the penmanship of those, especially these older records.
So then I just blew it up for you so you could see it. December 1st, Halev, December 29th. Here's his parents' names. Ulen, I'm never going to say this right. Ulensager, and I don't know what this is. And these are the witnesses, and I don't know what this is.
That is the church that the baptism took place in.
Oh, so do we know what this is?
Baptism record.
We don't know that yet.
Because
I'm not sure what that is.
Well, it's the parents' names and probably the sponsors. But what does that last line there? Does it say Gift? Gift? Does it
Well,
say that they're married?
see, the one right above is the Lund land Prestegard,
Mm-hmm.
and his baptism took place at a different church, and that's the name of the church. And the P is the Prestegard. It starts with a W, and I'm not familiar with the area and what other churches there were in that area.
Oh, I was thinking that was maybe the pastor's name. That's why it's always good to look at the headers and translate them, but I didn't do that.
And then there's some kind of an index number, because notice there's number 6 on Niels's, and then on Tolof's there's that number 98. I'm not sure. I've never really gotten into understanding what the minister is doing on some of these records.
I don't know if I see the 6 or the 98.
I don't see those.
right under, you can't see where I'm pointing, can you?
Nope.
In the last column,
Uh-huh. Oh,
very
number
last
9.
column, that says land. Whoops.
I hit the wrong button. Oh, I hit it a number of times. Okay, this is it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay,
Okay, the last column, the top one says
Here's the
LAND, and then that's a PRSTG. It's the Prestigard number
Okay.
6, NO6.
Mhm.
This is
oh,
some kind of an indexing system that he has set up. And then it looks
okay.
like WAED, LD, WELD,
That's what it looks like, yes.
and then it's number 98. I don't know what those two numbers might be referring to. I just don't know.
Now, for some reason, I thought it was, well, I tell you why. Because I thought this was the date he was baptized. So
Right.
this was where? It was at the
The
Emmett
church,
Church. So
almost. Yeah.
that's why I put the Emmett Church down here. And then this is, I thought was just an ibid of what was up
Right.
here.
You're right.
So I don't know exactly what this means there.
Because the Amat Church was part of the Land Prestigard.
Right, right. Okay, and then it's going to kind of be repetitious here. I found Ingeborg, May 22nd, July, Ullengar,
Ullensager, probably.
Ullenager, Ullensager. I think sometimes it
Yeah,
has an
there
S.
should be an S in there. Ullensager.
This is where they had trouble reading the original records.
Right. Exactly.
And so Ingeborg is in here, and they didn't have enough of these pages, so they took one that was actually for dead people and they made it into. So,
Paper was precious.
Mhm.
but it has all the headers up there, but it's a
Sure.
little different. Ingeborg's down here. Ingeborg Marthia, May. And then here, yeah, I think you have to go up here, 29th of June or July. It says June, you know. Oh, here's July, 6th. Oh, she's 7th of July.
The
That
first
must say
column
July
is her
7th.
birth date, and the third column is the baptism date.
Yeah, she has her date in there. Sometimes it says ditto. And I don't know if this is the church, London Church. So she's at a different church, not Amish church.
The Lunda Church was also part of, well, I'll get into that part.
So, and here's their parents' names, and here's the witnesses, I guess. And sometimes when I see Tolov, I wonder if that's the grandfather, because his name was Tolov too. Okay, Merit. April 6th, June 31. And so Merit's at the bottom here. April 6th is here. June 5th is up here. And these are her parents' names from Ullensager. And then these are the witnesses. You know, I don't have a place for her, so I don't know. Must be on a different page that I don't have. Oh, this one says Lundy right here, though. Oh, that's where this person's from. Sorry. Because Lundy's also a town. It's a church, but it's also a town or a hamlet or whatever they call them. So here's Helena, the next one, 34, September, Ullensager. Helena. Well, they say this is 15th of September. Here's September. They say this is the 15th, I guess. 21st, 28th of that. This is Amot, Omot, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's the same church, Omot Church now. And these are her parents. And these are this, I think this line right here is the witnesses. And there's another Tolif in there, so. Andreas, February. Oh, but he was living in Sorum at the time. His mother was living in Sorum at the time. And this is a baptism date. And I found Sorum on the map, so we'll show you that too. Andreas. This is Agneta. Andreas is down here. 6th of February. This was in the Lundy Church, so he's probably in the Lundy Church. And this is March 25th. Andreas' parents, the witnesses. And this is Martin, who's the one we're looking for. And he's March 26th, Ollensager, May 31st. So they only went to Sorum for the birth of Andreas. Then they moved back to Ollensager, or maybe she was visiting family, I don't know. And here's Martin, March 26th, May 31st. Hamlet is here. Here's his parents, and here's the witnesses. And the last one's Gunil, September 20th, up here, Ollensager, and October 27th. So here's Gunil, Marthea. She goes by Martha in the one we found. 27th, no, September 20th is when she was born. October 27th is when she was baptized. Here's her parents down here, Ollensager, and here's the witnesses, sponsors. Okay. Then after I got done looking for the children, I wanted to see where when Hans was born. So I knew I could find him in the 1801 census. I wish there was another census after that, but you know, that was the last one before he left. So this is the 1801 census, and I've kind of just put these boxes on here so you can see. This is my conjecture, but I think they do have, beside the children's names, they have a relationship, I think. Ole, Anders, Guri, Lars, and Hans. So there's 5 children. This is the father, this is the mother, and these are, I think, the 2 of the grandparents, Merritt and Lars Eriksson. And Ancestry puts them in order. This is not in any way the order of what you see on the next page. So this is the next page, and you have Talv here, Ingeborg, the wife here, Lars, Ole, Andreas, Guri, and then Hans. And Hans is 1 year old. There's ages, here's the ages. So you can figure out from here when they were born. You can take these ages and kind of figure out where they're born. And then I think this is the relationship, maybe. Oh no, maybe this is the relationship, because here's the Barons. I don't know for the word exactly. And Kohn, the wife, and the husband, I guess. And I think this probably even says grandparents down here, but I can't read. I didn't bother to try to read the rest of it.
Actually, he is a husband, and then it's Kona, Kone,
Okay.
or wife, or the woman of the household. And then it's the barn, those are the children. And then for Lars Eriksson, that is his father-in-law.
Okay.
In other words, Ingeborg's father.
And she's a Kona too. Merritt
And
Nielsen.
then there's a Kona. And then the rest of the names, or the next 2 names, are hired help.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the relationship is nice that they have it this early in 1801.
And the word for children there, you know, in modern Norwegian would be barn, but this is the old Dano Norwegian, so it's burn. And I noticed you had it spelled that way on the printout, BO/RN.
Yeah, I like to print out the printout too, because they can read it a little bit better than I can't read this.
But that's what that little thing up there hanging up in the air, that's the slash that shall go through the O. Sometimes they just put it by like a mark on top.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now this is a burial record. And I found this because I just thought I would start looking, see if they had records for the other people. So I found his was burial in 1839, and this in the estimate he was born. And so I just changed it from a baptismal record, and I kind of got screwed up because I left baptism in here, but it's died and buried. So he died on the 15th up here. And I know this must be January. No, this is, well, this is him here. So
Yeah.
that's the 15th.
Mhm.
And he died on the 1st of January. Here's his name. I assume this is what he died from, but I don't know what that
No.
word is.
Um,
No?
he's an old man on welfare.
Mhm.
Föderådsman, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so it's more of his occupation than what he died from.
Yeah.
Okay,
The church records usually don't give a cause of death.
oh, okay. Sometimes I've seen it with cause of death. Must be the Swedish age and where he lived. Okay, now I said I've got to go to Digital Archivette and look for some more records because I'd run out of records on that I could find anyway on Family Search. And I don't know how to look for them if they're already indexed. So I just did a search. It's just, and the way I found where the records were, this is kind of a shortcut for me, but this is a good page to go to. This is the Torpa Parish. And I know it's the right one because it's got the names of and it's called Ulsack. That's a town or hamlet that's Ullensack. I know they don't have Ullensack there. So they're prominent anymore. And so I go all the way down. There's Digital Archivette, and that's how I got into Digital Archivette in the right place. And I think there's something else above here that you can go to, and it's a page on Family Search that has all of the church books. So it'll list all the church books,
Mhm.
you know, like it'll say, this is the confirmation date, this is the
Mhm.
death date, you know, this is, you know, so you have, it's kind of like Digital Archivette already has that, but they have a page that has that too, I think.
See, I want to say something about the screen before where it said that he was Föderådsman. So Föderåd is something, it was an arrangement they had that when somebody passed their property on to their children or whatever, the children were responsible for caring for the older couple as long as they were still alive. And that's what Föderåd was. So it wasn't really welfare. It was a pension or
Engineer.
arrangement
I was trying to think of
within
the
the
right name.
family. You know,
Huh.
so
Okay.
Oh, now I went back to, sorry. Oh. Somebody knows how to spell that word, they could put it in chat and then everybody would know what that word was.
Okay.
Fonder, Dornum,
I will
Dorman,
do
I
that.
don't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to spell it, I'm sorry. Okay, this is how I get into Digital Archivette. And so I went in there and this is where I found, you know, I just searched page by page and I found, okay, it's hard to read, but I think over here is her name. Okay, I was looking for a name over here, but it's on this side because the page is on. This is her father, Hans Christopherson, her mother, Merit Johansdottir. And they were born at Smedrud. And these are the baptismal witnesses. And then I showed you on the page, I think, because probably I wanted to get the date, but I don't see the dates anymore either. Since it wasn't indexed, I haven't, you know, I don't know what to look for dates. But this is all smudged up, so if it's over there, you're not going to see it. This is the smudge or hole, I don't know which it is. So this is just blown up. And this is where I think it says America, 1847. And so, yeah, there's some things that you can copy down down from Digital Archivette. So I think I copied these down from Digital Archivette. This is what I just wrote down from what I read up here. And then this is the URL to go there. But quick link should take you there too. They're different though, I don't know. Okay, then I couldn't find Hans. I looked and looked and looked for Hans, and I couldn't find him. So what I found instead was his confirmation record. So this is Hans Tollefson. He was confirmed. And this is his dad, and I think this is Olson. I don't know what it was underneath. And his mother. And this is I think this is DOPT, which means baptism, 10th of November, 1800. And he was 16 years old when he passed confirmation. And then I probably went down here to try to get the date. And it's one of those Sunday, second Sunday, so blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what that means. That's the thing that Linda always helps us learn, to find a date. And he wasn't in 1817 anyway. I think he was 1818, so I'm not sure. Maybe it was, well, I do have it written down, confirmed 1817.
Right.
And the
Okay.
Lund Church. And I don't know what the rest of it says, but I know it's the Lund Church. And here's all the headers. I'm sure that's why I copied it, because I don't think he's here. Oh, no, he is, number 5. This is him. And I don't know what that says. America, maybe? America?
Yeah, that's marking he went to America. You'll notice in the column, second one from the right, the word starts with MAAD. That means his knowledge of his confirmation information was marginal.
Oh, he is a little bit older. He's 16 already, so.
Well,
Okay.
he had other things on his mind besides religion, but he had to go through confirmation in order to be able to get married and to have land.
Well, it's also a combination of his knowledge and his behavior.
Yeah.
Uppförsel.
Oh, okay.
So he had a bad attitude.
Probably.
And I don't see any dates on here except for the baptism date. So
It would be
it's
on the
1817.
page of the confirmation date would be on the page before, because this page starts with number 4.
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
I think that's why I copied this down. I think this is some Sunday after some holiday. And I don't know what that is. But I know Linda would.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is a confirmation record of Agneta. And hers is nice because you can see right up here, she has the date and she has the church, Lund Church, the date, and 30th of March. And where is she at? This is Agneta down here. Shows a smudge, but not as bad. This
I
is her-
am thrilled to, Iris is thrilled to see this because I'm looking at my, and it looks like I had the wrong parents at first, and I've got those names in.
Yeah, so what happened was there was another Agneta Hansdaughter, like a few pages before this one, and that was those parents. So you found her twice. This is the second Agneta Hansdaughter. And this is her baptism and her age. And she must have done a lot better. This must mean good.
She did good.
Okay. And then this is another one with the top stuff all. I don't even, oh yeah. No, I don't think she's on here, but I thought you should have the top stuff, I think. Because this is 1819. I said she got confirmed in 1820, I think. Okay, then I always like to see maps. I love maps. So I found some maps, and on the map page that I found, the map URL that I found them on, they had where you could click and you could go see photos. And of course, they take photos of interesting places. Here, the interesting places are the churches. So, okay, this one wasn't on Map Carta. This one was up here on this big Norwegian dictionary or encyclopedia or something.
Lexicon, yeah.
Oops, now I do that. I hate that.
That's rude.
So it just shows you Norderland, and I think this is a modern day picture of Norderland. And then you can see, right? Let's see. Ahmet Church is right here, across, I think. And the Lunda Church is right here, Lunda. Those are the two churches we found. And this whole little thing is where the towns are around this triangle right here. It's identified as Torpa, so that must be a common
It's
name for it. It was divided up so that for a little while the top half was Torpa and the bottom half was Noderland. They divided it up between Noderland and Sutherland, so north and south, and then at some point they divided up Noderland into Torpa and Noderland. And so I put Amistad on here so you can see where it is in relation to Oslo. Well, here's the main church, Hamer, and here's Lillehammer. And the nice thing about Map Carta is you can click on one of the towns, and over on the side view, on the little side window, they'll print out information about that town, or pictures from that town, or etc. And if you go over to the side view, if there's more than one Amistad, they'll tell you, oh, there's another Amistad, way down at the bottom page, you can figure that out, where you just click on them and go to those pages. So that's really nice. And so I've got the Alnasaker, I've got the Lund Church, I've got Smedrud, I've got Amistad, and I also have this church, which was, Andreas was born here, so, or it's not a church, it's a farm. This is a farm, this is a farm, this is a church. And I've just printed out whatever was on there. Tells you about them. And then, because we talked about Amet, I thought I should put one with Amet, show you how far away it was from Holmsaker. And I can't get the whole thing on the picture. I would get the whole thing on one picture, but in order for the farm names to show up, I have to enlarge it. I have to get it large enough so that the names show up. And by that time, I can't get everything on the map. So this is Holmsaker and the church and the and then I wanted to know what the quarter was, so I looked that up, put it down here too. And I still don't quite know what it is. It used to be a quarter of a town, but now it's more like the military, where they have a person in charge of quartering people and stuff. Quartermaster. So this is just to explain to you, I've turned on GeoNames, and I don't know, I think that's why this is Ullensack instead of Ulsack. I think Ulsack is the current name. And then Smedrud has to show up. You have to enlarge it enough for Smedrud to show up. So that's just to show you a couple things. And then you can go to the pictures. And I learned a little bit about the history of this church. And they said they wanted a big church when it came to Torpa because they wanted everybody from surrounding churches to go to this church. So this is a lot of people. And this is a smaller church, Lunda. And there was another one, Kin something too, that goes to the big church. And I think Kin was torn down, but then rebuilt later. And I'm not sure if this one was ever torn down. It was probably scheduled to, but it wasn't. Okay, now I just have a few more records, and these are just from Ancestry, from archive.org, from Find a Grave. So they're from different sources. They didn't fit in with the other records. So, and I think we talked about this earlier. Somebody found this record from 1855. And here's Hans Tollefson. And he's here. And the youngest daughter is here, the mother and the youngest daughter. Here's him. And all three sons are here. But I don't know where the three oldest girls are. And that would be nice to know, I guess. But I didn't pursue that very long. And they're in Leona, which is part of this township of Winnebago. So I love maps. So here you go. Here's the map of Winnebago from 1870. And here's where Leona is, up here. Up in the left-hand corner. And then archive, I found the map at the book is History of Mitchell and Worth Counties, Iowa. And on page 731 and 733, I found these. And this says that Hans Tollefson was the first one in that county, Deer Creek. And
And he married a Swede.
yeah, they came in
He-
1855. He married Louisa Nelson, and she's Swedish. And their oldest daughter, they were the first to be married in the county, and Agnes was the first daughter to be born in the county, first child. So this is a little history of them with their 7 children: Agnes, Hans, Pete, Tilla, Helen, Andrews, Oscar, and Amelia. They go to the Northern Lutheran Church, Norwegian Lutheran Church, sorry. But here's a part we just found. He came in 1846, actually 1847, with his parents to America. And then was in Winnebago, Illinois, and then came to Iowa, 1855. Okay, I just couldn't pass this up because this is the youngest daughter, and this is where she gets married. She's 20, her husband is 25. And so, in the church, on December 1864, Anders Olofsson, son of Ava, I can't read it, Myra, and his wife's name, Suri Thron's daughter. They're from Vang, that's the Prestegeld in Norway, just right near the Landfeld. Let's see, I'm looking at it because I'm looking for words I know.
At the age of 25 years old.
Yeah, 25 years old. Gunhild Martia Hansdotter, with her father's name, her mother's name, and they are from the Land Prestegeld. And they were,
Nice information.
yeah.
Wow.
That's why you want to check the kids just as much as
Yeah.
you do the main person.
Yeah, this must have been his age. Oh, this is her age, I got. So I can't read the whole thing, but I could pick out names and dates pretty much. And names of the towns, because I know the towns now. And this is just all the information about that record. And this is, I think I added this. Well, I must not have, because I couldn't read Anderson.
So this is right next to Minnesota. So the other kid was married in Minnesota.
Yeah, she must have gone there with, well, maybe she didn't go there, but she ended up in the same place as Andreas. Andreas is in Goodhue, Minnesota, and she's in Goodhue, Minnesota. And this church record is Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Kenyon, Goodhue, Minnesota. Marriage date in the church. Okay, then I thought we should end it, the records anyway, with, the death record. So I just went to find a grave. This is the entry for Find a Grave. She was born in 1804, died in 1859, and she's buried in the First Lutheran Cemetery in St. Ansgar. And this is by the same person. All 3 of these are by the same person. This is created by D.M. Scott. Now, if he's this is her husband, Hans Hollensager, and we don't think he was born in 1791. We think he was born in 1800, maybe 1799. And then he died here and was buried here. And there was 2 for him, which I kind of like, because then they have more information here. There must be some book on page 134 where you can find the entry for it.
One thing I'm going to stick in here is the church book said that he was about 71 years old. Now, this is early 1800s. They didn't really know how old they were. things were rounded up. But if you look
Mhm.
again at that church record that Martha had indicated where it was handwritten in, and I think you had that too, Gwen, I don't remember. It shows the date that he died, that he was about, and it shows her date and her age. And you know, from the
Mhm.
census and these other records, the baptism records, this type of thing, there was only about 3 years, 4 years difference in their ages.
Oh, okay.
And hers works out perfect, whereas his doesn't. And I think he just didn't really know for sure how old he was.
Okay.
But we have disproven that 1791 is wrong.
Yeah, we also thought maybe it's 1799 and weren't able to read the last 9 maybe. But since he's dead, maybe he didn't even tell him, they just guessed.
Could be.
Because his wife's not there. Just Martin's the only one there. Okay, this is the next steps. What are we going to do now? Because this is the end of my research. Well, except for I found community trees. So I would find a big book for the Norderland upland or in community trees or something I learned about here. So this is where I go when I'm looking for a big book to begin with. This is the Arnie Becca Big Book collection at University of North Dakota. And so I was going to tell you, you can, search this alphabetically. You can search it by place name. And of course, none of the things I put in were finding anything. So that was a little bit, I think I put in over here. I put in Norderland, Amat, Opland, Torpa. Well, Torpa does return something. It says sea land. So they wanted me to check land. Of course, land is such a common word. It's kind of hard. But the other way to search is if you find Opland and you click on Opland. No, it's this one. You click on Upland, it'll list all the churches and everything. So that's probably a better way. But I was not familiar how to do that. And this is the page I found. This is what the page looks like for Lond and Londet. And it comes with this map, and at the bottom of the map you can see all the churches, I think. Torp is the one I was looking for. And then there's like 15 books here, but 9 and 10 are in Torpa. So those would be my first ones I'd look at. And I guess this gives you enough information that you can look it up in WorldCat, find the libraries, and then WorldCat tells you what libraries they'd be in.
Mhm.
So if you find one nearest to you, go there, and look at the books. And this is just a description of what I just said. Yeah. Oh, and plus, right here, one of the books was about book number 4, and it said that there was English translation by Sandra Hendrickson of the biographies arranged by year of immigration. I don't know if this is just an index. Well, it just says these pages. So biographies arranged by year of immigration. So I don't know if that's the whole book is or just these pages are also written in English, but that would be nice. Then I remember learning in this class that the community trees, one of the things they have is the Big books. They put all the families in there for the Big book. And so I looked at that. It told me I could go to this. I went to another page. Oh, at the bottom, I think. I picked out, there's all these under Norway. And this is the one I picked out. There, I think like the Mayflower records are here because there's Mayflower books. Things that are in books, they put into this tree. But this includes all the communities. It doesn't just include one church. Bury, Dove, Etnadal, Gaza, Lesja, Loam. Norderland is the one we want. And then they have something down here called Sur Ardrel, which I don't know. But what they say is these have birth, marriage, death records for the clerical district of South Ordell and Sorfon. So I thought maybe since it's from the South, some of the missing records that I don't have 2 books for, I thought, well, they might be down there in the South when they split up from South and North to townships, 2 counties, that they they left some of the records behind, but I don't know.
If you take those lists of those districts that are at the bottom of this last paragraph and you look at the map of the, I think you may have that coming up, the big map. These are just different clerical districts versus the communities, which is the civil districts. And so these are just different books, different areas that are included.
Yeah, I like this one because there was a whole bunch of them were just a single Big book, but this has merged all the Big books together. And it, that just came into my head toward the end of my presentation. And I thought, oh, maybe some of them are in the Southern books that didn't get, the information has not been put in a book and transferred to the Northland. It's in the Southland somewhere. Or maybe there's just no book, but okay. So then here's what I found. I found Han Tollefson Amistadter. This shows his parents and her parents, Agnetta's. I probably looked this up by Agnetta because that's a lot easier to look up, even though she's a Han's daughter. And I don't know, I just think it's more of an unusual name. And then these are all the grandparents. And then it looks like, hey, there's even more information. And these buttons don't work, the greater than sign, but it's supposed to take you to the next generation. So what I did was I just put in one of these names. You could put in one of these names, and they would start you with a new tree.
Okay.
And so this is Han's parents. And you see, it did go out another generation here, and it looks like it can continue on to another generation, not for this one or this one, but for two of them. And so I did the same thing for Agnetta's parents. This is her parents. These are the grandparents. And they have 2 lines that continue on and 2 lines that don't continue on. So.
Am I going to get that copies of that?
Yeah, I think that you can have a copy. I think Linda was going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy of all of this stuff for PowerPoint.
And
Okay. That is entirely new information. That's entirely new information for me. That's wow.
yeah, that's what to go to next. That's what I thought. And I put all the records with the link to all the records that I have in the 2 handouts I gave. And then I realized that it doesn't have the marriage records. I don't know what happened to the marriage records. They were in the table at one point in time, but when I looked at the tables today, just before my presentation, I said, oh, it's missing the marriage records for Hans and Agnetta. So,
Well, Iris has got to do some of her own work.
I'll show you how I found those records. So, it's not too hard. So I just thought we could look here. Yeah, what was the question?
I was going to say the thrilling thing is that you have confirmed some of my mistakes and I had changed them, and then you've gone any further. This is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So I was just going to show you. There's tricolor here and there's tricolor here. So those are the name of the ships. This is Rock. I couldn't find them in the Rock. I don't know, Rockford. I think that might be Rockford. But I found them in Illinois. I found them in Winnebago. Most of the dates are similar, except for don't think he was born in 91. But you even have that changed. You found this record with his confirmation because you have the baptism date. And I didn't check Martin, so I won't look at that. But here's Rockford again. I don't know about a first marriage. I didn't. Immigrated 1846. See, you knew it was 46.
Well,
46.
Martin's first wife died, and there is a marriage. I've forgotten on which site.
Oh, so that's
her
what
second
Martin,
wife.
okay.
Oh,
He went back to Norway. He went back to Norway and got a second wife.
Oh, did he?
And yes, and
because I've got a Hansina
very
Peterson in 1902 that he married her.
I think
Now
what
I
was
don't know
the-
if I've got. I just don't know if I've got the right guy. Martin Hansen.
You did, because wasn't it an obituary that you had?
I don't remember, Linda. Sorry.
Somewhere in somebody's, I was getting so many records there. Plus I was doing my own research too. But I do not do US research in our class because it doesn't make any difference what nationality is. Searching in the United States is searching in the United States.
Yeah.
And the mission with this particular class is using the original Norwegian records,
Norwegian.
which Gwenna had the pictures of. And so then I try to help you with learning to read the records. Iris, you had an awful lot of information that was very, very close and very, very accurate.
She has all the parents' names and the grandparents' names. So those are correct.
Now, remember, this is the chart that I used to create that first family group sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some errors, yes. And what I want to do is, I started doing it and then I didn't get done. I had another errand I had to do today that took up a bunch of time. But I'm going through and marking little things like you have the immigration of 1846, and it was actually 1847. I found you have the record of when they arrived in New York. I found the record of when they left the parish of Lunda in Norway. And so I have some other little things. So at this point, anybody else have a question for Gwenna with her presentation? Otherwise, then I want to grab the screen share.
God, that's
Okay.
I
nice
just have
job.
one question for all of you guys. When I was at Luther and I graduated in 1969, one of the campus pastors was named Smetsrud. So is that somebody who's related to you guys? Well, that was all.
Yet. Not yet.
So
The only Smeds I know is just listed on the paper. I
Okay.
don't know that I ever met
it
another
means
Smeds.
Hamlet, I was told. Okay. Yeah. The last two were just that because I didn't have the marriage record. That's how I found the marriage record.
I've got a quick question. You said you found some stuff in the Mitchell and Worth County books. Can you go back and tell me what page that was? I happen to have those books. And I wanted to get her the actual copy of it if I knew I couldn't. I was trying to look it up quickly.
Well, my cousin Darlene just sent a picture from one of those books that she'd gotten from one of her classmates. It was a Worth County book, I think, wasn't it, Darlene?
Worth and Mitchell are together in a book.
Yeah,
There's two books of them.
It's pages 731 to 733.
Do you know what
And
books that were? Because my books aren't even going that high. I have the version.
It's both Mitchell and Worth counties is all I have, except
Okay.
from history of Mitchell and Worth County, Iowa. And those
There's
are pages I had. I think Hans Tollefson, I think he was in there one more time. He was with a group of people, and I don't know if these were people in his church or something he belonged to. So there's one more page.
I have the Mitchell and Worth County Volume 1 dated 1918.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's that one. It's a different
So
one.
sometime if you want to look at them and see if you can find your families in here, because there's a lot of them in there, I would be more than happy to share this with you.
You might want to Google that book title. It may be online. Since it's 1918, it's out of copyright.
It has to be online or I
It is
wouldn't have found
online
it.
because I saw it.
Okay.
It's archive.org, and I have a link to all the records
Okay.
that I've given you as a handout. Except for the marriage record, I deleted those or lost them. So that I don't have them.
Okay, now I'm going to share briefly my process that I did. And I don't have a nice presentation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I just have sunflowers.
That North Dakota?
Okay, you know that I don't use Ancestry or Family. Well, I use Family Search for information. I approached my research totally different than what both Martha and Gwenna did, in that I go directly to the records.
Okay.
Now, I will come back to look at the trees if I get stuck or if I need help.
Yeah.
There were several, and Gwenna did a fantastic job. I so much appreciate what you did on that.
Mhm.
But there were some points that we're going to look at some of these records later on in the year as we go through the church books
Okay.
and that type of thing. There was one that was a baptism, and you have to look at the whole page because the minister entered all the baptisms for the month at a particular church. So they aren't in order, and it has Amat, and then there were 2 baptisms, but the date was different than the one up above. The indexer got it wrong.
Sometimes
And I
they
think
do.
I have that mentioned on one of my handouts. And this was, I wrote the handout before I had seen Gwenna's PowerPoint, and I didn't get that pointed out. Let's see, where in the world is it? It says this is wrong. Um,
Sometimes I couldn't even read the numbers, so I don't know.
anyway, the one handout that, well, first of all, where I started is I always go to Family Search, and I'm going to walk you through this because I do go to Family Search for information, not for trees. And so let me get signed in here. And you go to Search tab, and you come down to the Research Wiki. Okay. Now, at this point, you type in the parish name. I looked at that family tree pedigree chart, and I was looking for what I could see or suspect were Norwegian places, locations. I look for locations first rather than names. And of course, Soccer stands out, and I'm familiar with Soccer. There was a musician that was from Soccer, wasn't there?
Yes.
And so I thought, okay. And so I first put in Soccer here. Bear with me. It would help if. Okay, get partway through, and here is the Soccer parish in Askerhus. But yet, on Martin's baptism, I saw that he was born at Nordre Land. Now, that threw me off too, because I did Nordre Land in here as one word, and it's actually 2 words.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, now look at that one handout that has the 3 columns on it.
Mhm.
So I clicked on this Soccer parish. And I came up with this. Gwenna had the same type of thing in. This is the magic box right here.
Mhm.
And this is what I keep telling you, copy this off and keep it handy. And so now, Iris, you've got yours already printed off, except that there's a problem. Soccer is a parish in Akerhus, but they didn't live in Soccer parish in Akerhus. They lived at Soccer farm in Nordre Lande.
Ah.
That threw me off
Mhm.
completely. And so the very first one I looked up was Soccer because I knew that was a Norwegian name. And so I'm looking in Akerhus records, and you'll notice that it's got some strange names here that nothing fit to anything that I saw on the chart. And here they have a names, all the farm names, and I didn't recognize any of these names at all. In fact, there wasn't even a Soccer farm.
Hmm.
Well, then in book 2, that was book 1. This is book 2 for Yulin Soccer Parish. And well, yeah, there's one there, but that's the Prestigard. That's not necessarily a farm, but that's we got to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no Smedrud or and it looking at a map, it's quite a distance from where I found the Amat Church because that was on the record. And so I scrolled down and I just didn't get it didn't fit. So scratch that. So then I went back to, instead of Yulin Soccer, then I played with the Nordre Land, and I do want to just show you this one.
And I have lost my
Yep.
video. Do you know how to get it back?
No. Anybody? Rex, can you
Might
help
be
me
in
with that?
the taskbar at the bottom.
Got an R before
It's, a,
that.
it's called Zoom and it's big blue ball.
Okay, you got it then. Just go down to, yeah.
Okay, so now when I had it as just one word, I didn't get anything. But as 2 words, then I got it. So here's the parish. And again, the big blue blocks. But now I come down here and, stuff is kind of making sense here. We're in Upland and there's land. Okay, then we scroll down. They don't have the farm names list.
Mm.
The next thing you want to look at is the church records or the church history. And I wrote that down at the bottom of Nordre Lande, where it's the parish. Remember, I've talked about there's a main umbrella, a main church. And then there are called songs, which are your local congregations. So here we have parishes in this Ostsini, which is where the Gardner Church, and then there was this Belstead Chapel. That was like, it wasn't really a full congregation, but it was a meeting place. We're looking at an area that was not heavily populated and farms were far apart. And so they came up with these little chapels along the way so that people didn't have to travel so far to get to church. And then we have the North Sydney Church. That one was the Hoger song, and the Torpa, which was the Amat Church. And going ahead and explain that. But along with the Torpa or the Amat Church are also the Kin and the Lunda chapels. And this is what you need to know. This is why you are going to be looking under Nordre Landa and Torpa. That's where you're going to find the records. Torpa includes the Lunda chapel records. And what it goes on to say here that they used to be combined in just what was called the Land Clerical District until 1866. Population did grow, and so they split the clerical division into 2 smaller ones. So it says for earlier records, earlier than 1866, you also need to check the Southland records. So we can't concentrate on just Northland because those records aren't separated out until 1866 into their own books. They're combined before, so you need to check both of them. And then this is how Gwenna gets into digital archivist.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, any questions on why I use the wiki? There's that church history. It's telling you about boundary changes, district changes, this type of thing. And it helps you to narrow down what you were looking at. Otherwise, you'd be looking at all of the records for Landa. And with both Martha and Gwenna, they were using the family search and ancestry, and it took them right to it. they didn't have to go through all this thinking that I did. So it's a easier way, but I still like this church records part. Okay. I go to digital, I've bookmarked Digital Archivist so that I just come up to that and I log in. And then I change the language because it's more fun seeing the strange translations. Sometimes. Normally you would change the language first and then sign in, and then you get more accurate translations. I have found that you definitely do need to sign in. The accounts are free, just like Family Search.
Oh,
The stuff
okay.
is all free, but you get better results if you are signed in, more thorough. Okay, the ones that I started out with searching for individuals, this has gotten to be a lot better as they are doing more and more indexing. Norwegians are doing the indexing for Digital Archivist. Family Search and Ancestry, there are Norwegians that are helping, but originally with Ancestry, they were hiring anybody that wanted to help out. And so if you remember right, the 1940 census, US census, they hired a bunch of students, university students in China to do the translating and indexing. And they were atrocious. And they ended up having to redo the 1940 indexing. So sometimes it's kind of nice having the natives doing their own search. But you can do this. So I took a look and I thought, okay, there are just way too many Martin Hansons. Plus, he's just a little boy. Only a few years, we'd find records for him in Norway, but you're not going to find Martin Hansen without having hundreds and hundreds of records. Tullif, Hans Tullifson is going to be way too common. Now, maybe you aren't familiar with Tullif as a name. This is one of the names that I had mentioned before is very common in concentrated areas. My grandfather was Nikolai. He was over there in the islands out in the North Sea, and there were all kinds of Nikolais. But there were none in Loeb, where my grandmother was raised. The common name there was Halver, and there were no Halvers out in the islands. Tullif is a very common name in this particular area. So that's not going to be a good one to search for either. So I looked at Agneta. And that's where I started my search.
I
And
did that too, so.
just because it's unusual, you're not going to, Hans daughter is not a surname. That just says she's the daughter of Hans. And there may be 30 Hanses in this community, and you don't know which one. And I'm going to put in 2 T's, but we're going to find that most of the time it is spelled with 1 T in the Norwegian records. And then for a year, we got like, I'll put in 1800 based on the records, that pedigree chart. And I'm going to go to 1805. I'm just going to narrow it down like that. And I'm going to look for, we're going to come down here. I'm going to look at church records. And we want to look for her birth at this point. If I were looking for confirmation, I would click this one, or marriage record. Or you can search for all of them. I like to concentrate on just one record at a time. So I don't know if she's legitimate or not. So we'll look at both sets of records. So now we have our category, church records, and the topic. And we scroll up here and we see we're looking at born and baptized. These are our filters. or our criteria. And then we're going to go to geography, and it is in Östlandet. And we're going to look in Uppland because Nordland is in Uppland. And we're going to scroll down here. Now, Fluberg was one of the churches that was mentioned with Sondre, Southland. So I'm going to click that one anyway. And there's no land on its own. Here's Nordre Lande. And we scroll down. There's Torpa. We're going to pick those three. I probably won't find anything with this one because it wasn't called Nordlanda at the time of her birth. Remember, that didn't split off until 1866. Let's just see what we get. So we hit, okay, we got those three areas and those records. We only got 10 names. So now we look at these. Okay, this one says that she was born about 1793, and that is her area, and that's not the one we want. We want to look for an Agneta that was born in the early 1800s. Okay, here's one, but that's a different farm name. Oh, look at this one.
Yes.
Agneta Hansdaughter, born 1804, Smedsrud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this sounds real promising, but let's see what else there is here. So we know those are farm names. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anybody else. This one, she's the mother. We don't want that. We want this daughter as a child. Okay, let's look at this. This is her role is as a child. And there has a date here with a question mark. What you get first is the index. And again, got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. It is an index. And they have a calculated birth. And she is legitimate. So we get that kind of knowledge. Here's the name of the child. And this name is spelled pretty much the same way most of the time. Sometimes they leave out the S. But Eulensacker, I found it spelled about 12 different ways because they couldn't read it, when they were doing the indexing. Okay, here's Agneta. Her father is Hans Christofferson, and they're living at Smedsrud, so that's where she was born. Mother is Marit Johnsdaughter. And then this goes on. Father is your godparents. So there's Peter, who is living at this particular farm. And then we have another Peter, who is also living at that farm. And I'm not sure what the Q is. Do you know, Marie?
Nope. I don't know.
Oh, Peter's wife, Quina.
Oh, that
It's
could
spelled
be.
KV.
That could be. Yeah, that would make sense.
And then we have Ole, also living at that farm. Chances are these people are somewhat related to the family. And then we have Christopher from Smedsview. That could be grandpa, could be a brother. We don't know the relationships. And then we have Anne, who's also from Smedsrud. This is where you can go back into the 1801 census and you might find these people and how they're related just by looking these farms up. Okay, it's on the source. It's page 77, 1804. Baptism date is perhaps
January 1st,
Yeah.
January 7th.
You have to figure out which is month and which is the date. So it's the 7th of January, maybe? Or
Yeah.
is it the 1st of July?
No, it always goes from the smallest to the largest. So the
Right.
date is first, and then the month, and then the year.
Yeah. Okay. And then there was a comment about America, 1877. Okay, so this is the indexing. Let's go see the actual record. You come up here, see the scanned version.
Oh, nice handwriting.
Okay, it doesn't say what number, but it was on page 77. And so it's over on this side. And you just look down the side here for the names. When we start doing the church records, we're going to review this, the columns and what they are saying, but the kids' names are over here on this side. Oh, she's over here. I couldn't read the page number. And this is the one that Gwenna had. She approached it from a different way, but we got to the same source. Now, this says Lunda. This is the name of the church.
Okay.
That's where the baptism took place. And this is Ibid, so that one is the same as what was above up here. Here's at the Fluberg Church. Okay, this is an example where he has Fluberg, and then there's the 24th of June, and he's listed all of them that he did at Fluberg. Then you come down here a little bit further, here's Lund, and here's all the baptisms he did in Lund. And unfortunately, the date happens to be under that block. So you just don't know, because here he's the 8th of July, the 15th. It's obviously probably the first part of July, as you try to look at other dates, because here's June. So I'm guessing that it's going to be the first part of July when, that one was what, the 29th? Maybe it's the 24th. So we don't really know for sure when her baptism was. But that's where you can get to the same record, just two different ways. And then up here, this is from the Lond Presticon records. And here it says it's the ministerial book. Book number 6 that covers the years 1884 to 1813. We are looking at page 77, which is for the year 1804. And this is image 78 of 191 images. That's your source right there. So that's the information that you would want to copy down, because you are looking at the original records here.
Then would you find that date if you went to the Clocker book?
If there is a Clocker book. Now, I'm working off of that initial index. If you go into a browse or find source, let me show you that way. Let me get back here, because that was doing it by searching by the individual. If I come, let's do the scanned material first. Okay, this is kind of the old version of searching that we had done many years ago. And we come down here and we're going to look at the church records in Norway. And we can pick out, now we have to go through all of our, it's in Opland. And we get to pick out all of our
Well, there's Lund. So Lund was the Prestiel.
okay. And the song, I don't remember what song. Oh, it
It
was
was
the Lund.
Lunde, wasn't it? I mean, she was.
But that was under the
Church.
Lunda was under the Torpa song.
Okay.
See, that's why we had to look at Family Search to figure out that where that Lunda church was. We'll see if we
Clocker
can
book.
get a Clocker book. Well, let's go with the ministerial book too. That's all you need to fill out on this one. No, we want births. We already know she's legitimate, but we'll pull up those. And we want, I'm going to put in 1800. $1805 and do a search. Okay, it pulls up a ministerial book. We don't have a Clocker book for this parish at this time.
Okay.
So this is just another way to get to that same book. So that's, we did the person search. We did the scan material. You can also do it by going through find the source. And I'm not going to keep on, and parish registry. You can dig through it that way. So there's more than one way to achieve where you're going to be searching. And that's what we'll be learning again as we start going through this new cycle. The handout that I gave you is kind of the process that I did that shows what I entered for searching. Practice going through and using this when you are in the digital archivette to just kind of get experience to using these different source records, what I entered in those different filters. Like, for example, when I'm under individuals like this one, you can get rid of this black bar on the bottom. You don't need it. And then filling in the blanks. You are better off to enter very little, just basic little, the names and maybe a date range and a geography. You may get thousands of hits, but then you can start narrowing it down. It's because you can't expand once you've created the first search. So start big and then shrink it down. And these will just give you some activities just to practice learning to see the records. The last thing I was going to show you, what's this? And Martha had looked up yes. No, this is the wrong one. I don't want this one yet. That one. I didn't label these very good. You're not seeing what I'm messing around with here. I'll move this over. This is dealing with the probate cards. And Opland is real good with probate records.
Whoa.
Okay, this is the one I wanted to see.
I didn't do this.
Okay, this one is, and we'll get into this when we get into the civil records, the probate for Maria Larsdottir. There's a plus there. She's the one that is deceased. She is married to Hans Tollefson. Actually, this is grandpa, great grandpa, on back. And he's at this this farm, JVU
Juve.
in Nordry land. And I was looking at this, and there's Tollof, Hansen, and Lars, Carrie Ingri. I don't know if those are the right names or not. And then
Mindy means he's of age on Tollef.
of age. That means he's over 25.
Yeah, and so the next one is what, 24? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to show you this one now. This is for Hans himself.
Hmm.
And here we see that this Toluf has died, and there's Hans
Oh,
who's age 10.
Ah,
And I looked at this, and I looked at this mainly because I did not recognize this name, the place name, the farm name. Okay, so this is a Hans. This is 1811. This is when the probate is taking place. So our Hans would have been about 10 years old. And he's Hans Tolufsen, and his father is deceased. So this is Toluf Hansen. That's not our man. Our Toluf, according to the records, and Gwenna showed that and pointed out, his name is Olson, not Hansen. This Toluf is the son of Hans. This is not our person. And that's what messes up us every single time are these names, these patronymic names. And that's where if you start researching too many names at once, you don't know if you're looking for Toluf Olsen or Ole Tolufsen or Hans Olsen or Toluf Hansen, or just who am I looking for? And so it can get really confusing, and that's why you really need to look at these records. Okay, so this Hans Tolufsen and this Marie Larsdottir are not Iris's ancestors. See, he's living in 1798, but he has died by 1811. But these aren't our people, and that's not that one. So I found this one. I'm pretty sure this is in the right family because here is this Olmsted.
okay.
The name is familiar, and it's in Torpen in Nordlanda. This is a probate that was done in 1837. It was started on, or finished on February 14th. And this looks like April 11th. I'm not sure why there are two dates, unless this is when it started and this was when it finished. But this Lars Tollefsen is Hans Tollefsen's oldest brother. And he would have inherited the farm. Only now he has died. But there's his wife's name. And they had two daughters. And this is the value of the land and the debts and where that land is located, that type of thing. We'll get into this more. But you see how you can get the genealogy. These are at least living kids. There may have been some other kids that had died in infancy or, before this point. But at least it gives that these are two. So this is a little bit on Lars Tollefsen, Hans's older brother. I just kind of wanted to show that one. I think, Martha, you're the one that had the map. I don't remember. Gwen?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. This is of Hamar is the main headquarters. If you're Lutheran, there's synods, and this
Okay.
Brispedoma is like a synod. Or if you're Catholic, it's like a diocese, the overall big group. And this shows, here's Nordre Lande and Southern Landre. And these are all, now, Gail, if you're still here, your people were right down in here.
Yeah, you're right.
My people are right here. And next month, we're going to be studying chalk because Luann had some questions, our new member from last month, and we're going to dig into her location and information next month as I get started moving on then with, then we'll get into the immigration process. And then
That's-
I'll come back to Gwenna's records again.
That's cool. I lived in Shok and taught there for a year. So I know a lot of the Shok families.
All right. So these are the church districts.
Okay.
And there is that, here's Armont, but that's not the same church that we were at. The Armont church is over here. So it's just like there are other places in the United States called Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
And how many Polk counties are there in throughout this country? That is the same with Norwegian. And that's why you need to look at a map. You got to know the location. Or like I was looking at Ullensaker, which happens to be, I thought, okay, Ullensaker is a village right here. But they were living over here. Now, maybe he was born there and they moved over here. Only the birth records, the baptism records will say where he was born. And I'm pretty sure that Gwenna and Martha are both right that we're here in this North Londet, not over here. So that's just my little extra 2 cents worth and kind of introducing where we're going to be going now for the next year with researching. We're going to go do the immigration next, that process. We're going to review that. And then we're going to get into those church records again and those column headings and analyzing how those church records are set up. I do repeat this series kind of about every 3 years because I'm teaching things right now that you may not be interested in at this point. And, so you're going to learn a lot in a 3-year period. And then it starts all just clicking together and having fun. Any questions? You got it all?
Maybe. This has been really wonderful.
Iris, give me a couple of days and I will get the snail mail out to you. I need to mark some of these documents and we'll email Gwenna. Is it okay that she can have your PowerPoint? Okay.
Yeah, she got a PowerPoint, that Word document I sent you earlier, both.
Okay. Otherwise, again, big thanks to Martha and Gwenna for doing the work that they did on this. It made it easy for me and appreciate that. It's always more fun working on somebody else's. It
Yes.
kind of fine tunes your own skill levels. And Martha, if I remember right, you are not Norwegian.
No, I'm not. But Humboldt County has a couple of very large Norwegian areas. We have a lot of descendants. That's how I've gotten into this.
Yeah.
It's my husband that's Norwegian.
Okay. Darlene, I see you're still here.
Yes.
Where are you from?
I am living in Northfield, Minnesota.
Oh, good town.
So,
Good town.
yes.
I'm
So
an oldie.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for allowing Iris to share this time with you all. It was very, very interesting. So thank you.
You're welcome to drop in on us. We do, after a couple of attending the SIG meetings, we do encourage you to join the IGS. We're pretty cheap. I think we're only $40 a year, which if all you did was attend the Norwegian meetings, that's 11 Norwegian meetings a year, 2 hours each, 22 hours for $40. Not bad.
That's pretty good.
I was just down in Spring Grove, Minnesota, just across at the southern tip to the 101st annual Hendrickson reunion for my grandmother's family. So
Wow.
that was very, very fun too.
That's a very
So-
Norwegian little town too.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So thank you very much, and I appreciate being able to be part of this. It was wonderful, and thank you all for all of your information. Have a wonderful day or
Thank you.
evening.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Okay, if you don't have any other questions, then oh, didn't go over that much, only 10 minutes. Didn't lose too many of you. And oh, Karen, where are you living? Unmute yourself.
I'm in, I just moved near Des Moines. I'm Iris's daughter,
Okay,
but I live in Pleasant Hill. I
okay.
moved from Rochester 2 years ago, Minnesota.
Well, you're convenient then for getting over to the IGS.
Yeah.
We do have quite a few books in the IGS library now with Norwegian stuff. So you may
Okay.
want to check some of those out.
Nice. Thank you.
All righty. Good night, all. And
Thank
have
you.
a good Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you the end of September.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm waiting for everybody to leave. Who is this? I don't think was even with us, so.
Nancy looks like she should belong to our family.
Oh, yeah.
I get out of here. Leave.
Iris, do you know who is this? Because there were a couple of your names that didn't come tonight.
Yes, they were. Oh, one of the cousin, Darlene's sister, was going to be on, and she lost the thing, and I sent it, I forwarded it to her, but evidently it didn't work to click on that link. Anyway, thank you so very much. This has been absolutely
Like I say,
it's been reassuring, and to see that I thought I was going one line and I was gone, but you've gone even farther. It's just fabulous. Thank you.
but we do want you to try to find your own record. Just because we're sending you a copy of the record, don't
Yeah.